weight loss. Okay, but weight loss is anyway covered in it, and I'll speak for about 15 minutes and then we'll get into a demo. Is that okay? Yeah. So most of us, when we think about weight, the first thing that comes to our mind is we need to exercise, we need to eat properly. Some of us will go off certain foods and say, I mustn't eat this or I must eat this. So often you find people blaming everything on the diet. But over the last few days we've seen you can't really blame anything on the diet or an exercise. Now you know a number of people who eat a lot and eat wrong and still are very, very thin. And there are a number of people who exercise every day and still they never lose weight. And so what's really going on there? So the first and the major issue in Meta Health, we look at whether the person is in stress or in rest. Now, most of the people, when they are not losing weight, they are in what we call hanging healing. Now, these sound like big words, so let's cut them down and make them really, really small, okay? Stress is when you're not feeling okay, you're stressed. You're stressed about something, right? And when you are, like we've done a resolution or you've found a reason to get out of that stress, you are off stress. You are resting at that time. But when you're like jumping in between these two states and you haven't completed your healing, which is when Carl keeps saying, go back into the scene, go back, work back again, go work back again. Because if you're expecting results in just one story, it isn't going to happen. You get that? So hanging healing is when, yes, we've cleared up some aspects, but we haven't cleared up everything. And for you to clear up everything, you need to revisit that scene again and again. Is that clear? Okay. So number of reasons why somebody will put on weight or lose weight. Top of the list is water retention. Can everybody understand me? Okay. So the top of the list is water retention that happens in the body. And water retention, not only does it make you put on weight, but 70 to 80% of your health issues become bigger. And you have, if you have pain, then that becomes more acute. If you are fat, it becomes more prominent situation. You may have swelling. So most of the problems become more prominent, like 70 to 80% more aggravated because of water retention. So if we were to able to work on water retention, you will be able to deal with 70 to 80% of your problem. And what is behind that water retention? The first abandonment that we all feel is, or most of us feel is, I always say the uterus. Look at the word uterus. Let's break that down. Okay, that's you, that's three, that's us. When you feel like us in a relationship, do you create the third child? So the uterus is the first home for anybody. All of you on this earth, your first home was not the home that you are staying in right now. Your first home was your mother's womb. And I don't think anybody stays back in that womb forever. So your first abandonment, the first rejection, the first place where you feel like a fish out of water is actually at the time of birth. All of us don't feel like this. Some feel lots, some feel little, depending on whether you were put in an incubator, whether you were cuddled, whether your mother during the labor said, oh, you're a horrible child, you're giving me pain. It could be anything. And we know that subconsciously we're picking up stuff. So the roots of your weight gain go back to always the womb. Clean up that first place, and of course I don't do that work, Sharon King does that, and you know where exactly to go with that. You have to go and connect with her. But I'm just saying that if we really want to sort this issue out, then the first place that we did not feel like, nurtured, loved, or maybe detached, or maybe disconnected, rejected, fish out of water, like a refugee, like abandoned, like bombed out. All those stories could start in that space. Okay, then is the time when you come back home, your mother is holding you, you want your mom to hold you in a certain way, take care of you, and she probably hasn't been able to do that. Again, streaks of abandonment. This all replays back when you become a mom. So, when you become a mom, that's the first time we have two hearts beating in one body. Yeah? One heart here, and one heart here. Imagine you have two hearts beating in one body, and that is the time when you reconnect to all the things back again at a subconscious level when you were inside your mother's womb. And you want to do something better than you had gone through. We always want to give our children better than what we got. And when we are unable to do that, like if there have been abortions, there have been miscarriages, there have been, any of the trauma around the childbirth, you as a mother may feel, I haven't done my best. And there you feel that you haven't done the service that you need to do with your child and may feel disconnected again. I'm just emphasizing a lot on the abandonment issue right now. So, there are a number of reasons why people put on weight, but if you even sort out one thing, that is feeling rejected, a fish out of water, I'm feeling bombed out, I'm not feeling okay. And of course, when we go through life, you're going to school, you're going, let's say you are sent to your grandparents' house because your mom wasn't able to take care of maybe the other child. It could be a number of reasons why this will come up. Somebody bullies you, somebody like me who's walking from or coming from from India, and I feel that people cannot understand me, it can hit me anytime. But is it coming from here? It's obviously coming from back in time with some abandonment where I have felt that I'm between two spaces. Is that making sense? Okay, so abandonment is one issue that you need to work on, but like you go in past lives, instead of just looking at past lives, let's look at one more bigger aspect. That's your family epigenealogy. My grandmother was huge. She was obese. And all her kids, other than my mom, my mother has never been obese. She's really, she's very fit. But other than that, my grandmom and everybody else was fat in the family. Now, you cannot discount this factor that it's not genetics only, like you heard Bruce Lipton, it's epigenetics. What's going on in the family lineage? Is the abandonment going on in the family lineage, which is then creating all the saga? Now, the second thing in the weight issues is always the fat cells. The fat cells do not multiply, do not increase, do not become less. You were born with certain number of fat cells. There are only 2 times in a woman's life when they may increase in number, and that is during puberty, when you start your periods, and the second time is when you are having a childbirth. Otherwise, for a man it doesn't really increase. For a woman it's not going to, it's the size that increases. So let me give you a little gist over here. A fat cell which is that microscopic, something that can be only seen under the microscope. Imagine you having jelly. Have you, I don't know what's called here, gelatin? Yeah? Gelatin powder? Yeah? Now if I was to put water in it, what will happen? Very good. So it's not that the gelatin has become, it's expanded because I've added water to it. Now that is the cellulite. Okay, so you have, like, imagine your fat cells like that powder, and you already have abandonment. Because of that, water retention is going to happen, and then this suddenly swells up. And you don't know what to do. And so this part, the fat cell part, is to do with, I am not good enough. I am always in competition with someone or something or somebody. Very common. We stand in front of the mirror, and my mom would say this to me. Why don't you stand in front of the mirror and tell me where you're fat? and I'll bring a knife and cut it off, just for fun of it, okay? Now, she meant to say, hey, you look okay. I'm fine with how you are. But I wasn't fine with how I am. Now, what are we doing constantly? We're probably comparing ourselves and saying, hey, I should be zero size. Hey, I should be looking like, who's the thinnest in the class? Like that person. I should be looking, we create yardsticks around how we should look. I should look like her. I mean, come on, my grandmother was obese. I probably will never look like her. She's going to look like, and I'm going to look like me. But imagine before the child comes out of the womb, we're comparing the children. So comparison becomes one of the very big issues because of which you will put on weight. In comparison, how? Oh, is she a girl? Is she a boy? And it happens a lot in my country. Oh, what's the skin color? In my country, we have a fascination for white skin. Oh, she's white? Oh, she's very pretty. I mean, she may not be pretty, she just has pale skin, that's all. But she's very pretty. And oh, she's got blue eyes, she's even more prettier. But she's still, yes. The comparison starts. Does she look like the father? Does she look like the mother? Does she look like the grandparent? Who does she look like? And if you're not doing that in this part of the country, I'm sure you're saying, how educated is she? Does she have this? And does she have this TV? And does she have this car? And does she have this salary? And does she have this boot? And does she have a number of things? So you know what I'm talking about. Constantly we are comparing ourselves to other people, and our attachment to be like other people is a self-competition that's carried on within us, which is again like that jelly powder, and then I have abandonment going on and I put it and I become swollen up. And can this then go just with exercise? Just with food you're not eating? Food fads, yeah, you will lose weight. What is really happening? Like I said before, a microscopic fat cell, when you add water to it, becomes like a pencil pinpoint. You can actually see it like this. You will actually be, if this is the pinpoint, you can actually see that the fat cell, you can see it with the naked eye. Can you imagine? So we need to shrink it. If I need to shrink something, I need to remove water out of it. And if I need to remove water out of it, I need to get rid of the abandonment conflict. I'm not going to explain the other things, just mention the other things that do create weight issues. One is the thyroid. And the issues could be over there that you are helpless. And it doesn't happen in the hyper, but in the hypothyroidism. You can have insulin resistance, you can have Cushing syndrome, in which water suddenly gets into the body, okay? And like you can put on one kidney is capable of holding as much as, if I'm not mistaken, 10 liters of water at any given time. Yes, not holding it there, nothing happens to the kidney. You've seen the hump of the camel? The hump of the camel is capable of holding water, but it doesn't swell up. Similarly, your kidneys don't swell up, so don't think like that. But when you are in resolution and off stress, that water will go to the area of conflict. So some people put on a lot of weight on the breast, some will have on the hip area, some will have on the thigh area, some will have on the stomach area, some will have more on the arm area. It depends what's the conflict going on. You need to go to the body part and identify what's going on and then work backwards. I hope this helped.